Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Namaste. It's really a pleasure and an honor to be here today. And before I share a few words with you, let me just introduce a brief video on what IndiGo is all about and where we stand. And I must give a little disclaimer prior, actually. The Indian aviation landscape is changing so fast that by the time we have finished the video, the numbers have changed again. So when you look to these numbers and you see some of the numbers, the disclaimer is that some of these numbers basically have changed already and they are higher than what they are in the video.
India is soaring, a nation that is the world's fastest growing economy and prepares to be the world's third largest economy by 2027. A nation rooted firm in its rich cultural heritage and history that is diverse and united by a growing desire to spread its wings both domestically as well as internationally, while moving ahead on the path of economic development and innovation. A nation that inspires and wins, and where aspirations are not reserved for the few, but rather part of the identity of every Indian. As India grows, Indian aviation is poised to become a global hub. Domestically, passenger traffic is expected to double in the next 6 years. The number of airports are projected to increase further up from 140 in the coming years. Internationally, India is uniquely located from 65% of the world's population within just 5 to 6 hours of flying time, and offers a unique and cultural travel experience for all tourists, and is propelled by a strong vision of aviation infrastructure by the Indian government. As Indian aviation takes off, it is IndiGo giving wings to the nation since 2006, propelling India one flight at a time, connecting people and aspirations. Today, IndiGo is the primary driver of aviation growth in India, with 2,000 plus daily flights, over 120 destinations, 100 million plus customers, 350 plus aircraft, and approximately 1,000 aircraft on order. Welcome to India. Welcome to the future. India by IndiGo.
Thank you. As I said, some of these numbers have been changing, and let me congratulate India today with organizing this conclave, which is all about infrastructure. And aviation is considered in many countries of the world as a crucial part of the infrastructure. And I'm very glad that also here today, infrastructure and aviation are so much linked to the future of the country. Because if you think about it, India is becoming the third largest economy in the world by 2027. Mobility is a key part of that infrastructure. Whether that's roads, trains, ports, airports, it all works together as part of that drive for mobility. And I would say aviation is even at the forefront, because it's not only mobility, but also consumer spending. And if I were to share with you that some of our recent openings of new flights to Delhi, from Delhi to Baku, Almaty, Tbilisi, Tashkent, those were destinations originally not served from India. We started with that and they're full right from the start. And be it Indian students going overseas, be it families traveling together, it's actually resonating very, very well. So against that basis, IndiGo is developing from a domestic-oriented airline into a global aviation hub and powerhouse, if you wish. And we're very pleased with all the support we're getting in that. I think the opportunities out there with the growth of the economy are really fantastic. And before we go there, maybe let me just highlight another, I think, which is an important testimonial, if you wish, and confirming the status of that. Once a year, all the airlines of the world gather in one place, and that's the IATA annual conference. That's going to be hosted this year in Delhi itself. It's going to be here in June. It's going to be a bit hot for the participants, but that's fine. I guess that is a reflection of the temperature, of the speed of the economy, and what all we are doing. So that's going to be hosted here. We're obviously very excited to be the host airline as IndiGo in that time here. Just on a personal note, I joined IndiGo 3 years ago. It's been a wonderful journey in helping IndiGo moving from domestic to become a more international airline. And I'm sure that by 2030, when we look back, and a lot of places in the world, we see the nice blue-collared IndiGo planes serving India directly. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Impressive, Pieter Elbers. And let's give him a very warm round of applause again. Pieter Elbers, CEO of IndiGo. And just looking at your CV, you've headed KLM, which all of us have flown. And coming straight to the point, India has got this great opportunity of being an aviation hub. It isn't. We've seen Dubai grow, we've seen Singapore grow, Qatar grow, not Delhi, not Mumbai. What do you think we need to do, or India needs to do, to ensure that we get to that place to become the aviation hub of the world?
Yeah, well, thank you for making the reference to KLM. I worked there for 30 years, the last 8 years as a CEO. You know, that home of KLM is a country with 17 million people, 17. That's less than the population of Delhi itself. And we were having 70 wide bodies. That is more than the entire wide body fleet which is operating in India today. So if you take some of these notions and you can make the same parallel to Singapore, to Dubai, to quite a few other places. So I think for really a long time, Indian aviation has relied very much on domestic travel, and international travel was sort of connecting to hubs outside the geographical shores of India. I think there's a great opportunity to start building on that. And if you saw in the video that 65% of the world population lives within the range of a 5 to 6 hour flight from India.
That's interesting.
That means that, you know, the opportunity to start connecting over India is phenomenal. And that's exactly the ambition to start building on it. Won't do it overnight, but with the speed and the drive and the ambition, I'm very confident that we'll get there.
What would be, when we talk of an aviation hub, we had the Civil Aviation Minister come here this morning and talk a few of the elements. What do you see as very, very critical in terms of ensuring that, you know, the nuts and bolts of that hub, if you look at whether it's passenger traffic, whether it is baggage movement, whether it's customs and immigration, whether it's just the pleasure of being in an airport, where would you put, if you look at Indian airports, where do you think we need to get?
Well, I think the government of India is putting a lot of emphasis, and I'm very glad that the minister was here and also spoke so highly on all the initiatives and the actions the government of India has taken. There's a long way to go, but a lot of work has been done already. If we just take a step back and we look to great functioning hubs outside India, there's always a, let me call it, golden triangle of collaboration between the government with the regulatory framework, with the things. One is the government, the other one is the airports, and the third one is the airlines. And that should work together in an ecosystem, and I heard the previous speakers around shipping speaking about the very same thing. So that ecosystem has to be built in India. And so today we have great intentions from the government, from the airports, from the airlines. I think the next step is that we consolidate that into a holistic view when it comes to education, getting more people in, making sure that all the rules and the regulations and import tariffs and all the things you have are really matched to those ambitions. And again, I see a lot of change there. I'm very optimistic that we get there, but we have a long way to go.
One point is that, and everybody talks of that, to have an aviation hub, you need a major airline. Do you think IndiGo is that airline? Why don't you all become that? Why conceding that space to Air India?
Anchor carrier.
You know, for a country of the size of India, we should have multiple large airlines, right?
Right.
And IndiGo is determined to be one of them. But there's a lot of chatter every now and then, you know, about consolidation. But if we want to compete in the international arena, you should have a certain size to be able to compete in the international arena. Because we are competing with the likes in the Middle East, we're competing with Singapore, we will competing with the European legacy airlines. So they all are airlines of a size of anywhere between 500 to 700 and sometimes even more planes. I think United today is in the range of 1,000 aircraft. So IndiGo today is the first airline in India who crossed the line of 400 aircraft. The issue is not, you know, I have 400 and you have 200 and I'm bigger. No, that's not the issue. The issue is, if you want to compete with them, you need to have a global footprint and you need to partner with others on an equal basis, not just to be a sort of domestic feeder. I think IndiGo clearly is building that. If you just think about that, last year, 2024, last calendar year, IndiGo took 58 aircraft from Airbus. That is the single largest taker from aircraft in the world. You know, after that it was 50, 45, 40 something. So 7.8% of the entire Airbus production went to IndiGo alone. That means 1 out of 13 planes produced there went to IndiGo. Every 3 days we welcome on board 1 million customers. Right. So those numbers basically go up. But again, it's very much domestic oriented. The future for me, solidify that base and build on the international piece.
Abhishek?
Peter, you talked about facing competition in the international market, but closer home, competition seems to be hotting up because what used to be, I mean, Air India is no longer what it used to be. It's backed by the Tata Group. New players are coming in. So in this environment, how does IndiGo maintain its leadership position? I guess what I'm trying to ask is, what's the secret sauce? Why should I choose IndiGo when, you know, there are other airlines there? Well,
as much as I appreciate you and the entire audience, the secret sauce is a secret sauce, so we keep it as a secret sauce. But publicly, I think what is relevant, maybe first to say, the fact that there's consolidation going on in the Indian aviation scheme is exactly what happened at other parts in the world. It's happened in Europe, it happened in the US, it happened in China, and so is happening in India. And if on the one hand side we are rightfully so proud that we are now the third largest aviation market in the world, also the characteristics of being that third aviation market in the world should be like that. And I mean, Europe is having what, 4 or 5 large airlines or airlines groups. Same goes to the US, same goes to China. So the fact that in India we have now IndiGo on the one hand side and Air India, and then there's a few new contenders, and that's perfectly fine. So I think for IndiGo, really the most important part has been all the years, and I should give all the credit to the founder and the promoter of IndiGo. There were 3 very simple customer promises: affordable fares, a courteous and hassle-free service, and an on-time performance. And these 3 elements, on-time performance, courteous and hassle-free service, affordable fares, and I think by now we have added an unparalleled network. Think about that, just take a step back. 86% of the Indian population is living within 150 kilometers of an IndiGo-served airport. So and if you take it 100, it's even a different number. So that in itself just underlines how strong it is. So our secret sauce remains a secret sauce. Cost leadership is obviously one of them. I mean, the Indian market is extremely competitive, it's extremely price sensitive, and IndiGo is able to serve that market. But those customer promises, founded 18 years ago, are still there and will continue to be there. And also, sorry to add, that will enable us to compete international. And I've been working in different parts of the world, I've been traveling in different parts of the world. I'm very confident that the IndiGo product can stand up to many other competitors in other parts of the world. I mean, we've recently launched a business class product on the nation's busiest and business routes. So we started with Delhi, Mumbai, where we fly 40 sectors a day. That's resonating extremely well in the market. So our product really will help us to be competitive outside India as well.
Peter, a more personal question. You headed KLM. What's the difference between running an airline like KLM and IndiGo in India?
There's a lot of differences.
And what can we learn from the examples, international examples?
Well, the 2 airlines are very different. KLM had one central point, Amsterdam, where, again, a country of 18 million people. Schiphol Airport had 70 million customers, 7-0, for a country of 17 or 18 million people. So that was entirely geared to building it into a connecting model. But it was just one, Amsterdam. I think in India we have the opportunity, given the geographical length and breadth of the country, to have multiple hubs. So that's going to be very different. So that's one. Two, it was a very sort of airline with a long history, 100+ years. IndiGo is only 18 years young. Think about it. It took Ryanair, it took Southwest 34 years to reach from 0 to 100 million customers a year. It took Ryanair 27, 28 years to reach that. IndiGo welcomed last year, when we turned 18, 130 million customers in a single year. So probably that's the other difference, and my Hindi is still very poor, but the jaldi jaldi philosophy, that I guess is one of the difference compared to what's happening in Europe and to what's happening in India. You know, everyone has ambition. We need to go forward. Go quick, jaldi. Hey. So I think that is another big difference.
Abhishek?
You talked about expansion. Along with expansion comes the need for like quality manpower, quality pilots and ground staff, etc. And what's your take on the training, manpower training ecosystem in India? What needs to be done, and to bring the training back to India, not having to send people from India abroad to get trained?
Yeah. Well, it's a very important point, and at IndiGo we pride ourselves by having one of the largest training institutes in the world. We have our own in-house training institute. We train over 2,000 people a day, and if you go there, it's really impressive. Whenever I have foreign visitors, I take them there and they're, wow, all these floors, it's all IndiGo, all people being trained. So we do all that training inside, and the fact that India has such a young population is really creating I would say, competitive advantage to other parts of the world where everyone is complaining about shortage of labor, shortage of people. We don't have a shortage of people. We don't have a shortage of labor. We need to train them, and it takes time to train them, but we don't have a shortage in itself. So this 2,000 people a day, I think, is one big step. I think where we should step up is making sure that we get flight schools, that we get the next level of the ecosystem being done. And I think some of the initiatives where also the manufacturing part is moving into India is helping. Because now we have a lot of people who are being trained, are being educated, and they end up working abroad. Yeah. I think we should have the opportunity in building that ecosystem here, in doing that. There's no lack of people, there's no lack of ambition, certainly, but it's making sure that we have the full ecosystem where these people can work.
Yeah, I mean, interesting that you touched upon that. How do you protect yourself from poaching by airlines in the Middle East and elsewhere, which are coming
Pay them better? No, I don't know.
How do you cannot prevent it, but I think we have a very strong culture in IndiGo. People like to work in IndiGo. There's a lot of people who joined us who stay for a long time. I think for a lot of years, probably career opportunities were limited as the airline was very domestic oriented. I think career opportunities are now expanding. We start to open up new destinations. When I joined, we had a handful of international destinations. We opened up Medina yesterday. It's our international destination number 35. So we have ordered wide-body aircraft, which basically we can cover the world. So the career opportunities which are there today are starkly different from those who were there 3 years ago, and they will be even nicer and better in 3 years from now. So I think the culture we're having, of course one should pay adequately, but the culture we're having, the opportunities, the ambitions, and I think some people have left and then they discover that, look what's happening there, look how the airline is growing, look what a great place to work. And the opportunity in airline is you can do a lot of different roles and jobs actually without leaving the company itself.
Peter, quickly, I'll come back to you. You've been expanding aggressively across the country, and now you're saying internationally. But the aviation sector in India is losing money. The annual loss is about 2,000 to 3,000 crores. That's the estimate. And in terms of IndiGo, given the fact that you have increasing operating expenses and forex losses and declining profit after tax, how are you managing this aspect? I think the previous quarter wasn't that too good in terms of thing. Is it because you've made orders that you're losing, or what's the reason?
Oh, to be accurate, the second quarter wasn't great. The third quarter was good, which we have recently announced. And of course, we had some of the forex challenges, but that's not unique to IndiGo. I think that's to every Indian company having some of the Forex challenges. But actually we had a very good quarter in terms of our revenue numbers, top line numbers, and then of course again some of the Forex. But it was profitable, and IndiGo is clearly a profitable airline. One of the things which are extremely important, and that's probably a bit linked to the secret sauce question, is to maintain that cost leadership. You know, look at the fare levels in India and compare them to other parts in the world. You could say, you know, also the GDP per capita. So there's some reasons why the fare levels are what they are. But it's an extremely price-sensitive market, and it's an extremely, I would say, competitive market. So the only way to do that is to be on top of everything. IndiGo has one of the leading utilizations, leading networks, and the way we start to expand, I think that really helps us. Last but not least, we have introduced our loyalty program.
Right. Oh.
So that started last year, very helpful to get a sort of deeper and longer connection with our customers as well.
No, I just wanted to expand because airline business in India has not been very profitable. We've seen how Kingfisher nosedive, we've seen how Jet Airways is closed. Air India, I mean, the government had to sell it off because it had incurred so many losses. So how are you, you know, given the expansion you're making, are you confident of coming out profitable? And what is the reasons, will be the reasons why you will succeed where others have failed?
Well, again, IndiGo is profitable, so it's not a matter of coming out profitable. IndiGo is profitable, and IndiGo was that prior to COVID. Then, of course, COVID came and everyone was loss-making, including IndiGo. And actually, right after, since the end of 22, we sort of have all these quarters of consecutive profits. But we have to do that in order to sort of start investing for the future. And if you ask why did a lot of airlines lose in the past, I probably not look back to too much, but to have a competitive position with a mixture of domestic and international, to be able to have a product to compete with some of these strong international airlines, and to have hubs and airports which allow you to compete. And I think some of the new airports or some of the new terminals, and I mean, just to highlight one, I think the new terminal in Bangalore is a fantastic facility. I think all the investments which are made, and I think this year, 25, is an incredible important moment for Indian aviation, because finally we're getting a second airport in Delhi. Finally we're getting a second airport in Mumbai. All other big metropoles in the world have that already. London has it, Frankfurt has it, Paris has it, New York has it, Shanghai has it, Tokyo has it. So all these places have multiple airports. And we didn't have it in India, but today it will happen. So I think that's a very important step to further build up that network and to be able to make sure that we can start sort of building the size needed to compete internationally.
Abhishek?
Since you talked about India being a price-sensitive market, and rightly so, I wanted to ask you, I mean, in spite of that, why do the fares spike so much to, sometimes to ridiculous levels? I mean, in high demand.
Kumbh Mela was, I think, you could go abroad and come back.
We heard of, like, 60,000 rupees one way, etc. I mean, how does this happen?
I knew this would be coming up, but I think that when the cricket match was, there were hotel prices in Ahmedabad, no?
That's true. It went up.
And when Goldplay was playing in Mumbai, what happened with the hotel prices? Right. So look at the general. Don't look at the incidents. Look at sort of what's the overall landscape, and look at what are the overall fare levels and how you compare that. And so of course prices go up, and then they go down again. And I mean, as I said, I'm now 3 years here. Every Diwali we see it. The prices go up. Oh no, they don't go up. They go down. No, they go up. So every day there's another news on prices go up, prices go down. So take a step back and look what's happening to the average sort of price levels, and then start to compare it with inflation. I think there have been some recent reports which take a 10-year inflation development and a 10-year pricing development. And then with such a distinctive audience, I think you know it for some of the other businesses, and look how prices have developed in those years. Be it real estate, be it properties, be it hotels, be it some other businesses. I think airlines are still very much the competitive part of the industry. And yes, there's going to be some prices, and someone finds one ticket somewhere from the deep south of India to go to Prayagraj. Yes, that happens. it happens, yes.
What you're saying is it can't be escaped every once in a while. Is that what you're saying?
Again, we welcome on board every day over 3.5 lakh customers, a little over more than 1 million every 3 days. That's what we have, 3.5 lakh customers a day. If you look at the 3.5 lakh customers a day, we have systems optimizing those demands. Again, not unusual. It's not only IndiGo, it happens all over the world. These systems optimize demands. So a very significant part goes for the lower levels, and then by the time bookings go up, you have a handful of tickets which may go up. Should we have sort of pre-blocked some of those levels? Maybe yes. At least it would have saved a couple of newspaper articles. but in general, I don't think it you know, look at the big picture. We have pretty much almost tripled the number of flights to Prayagraj. So you know, there's only so much one can do in sort of preparing for that. And then again, what happened with the trains? So everyone is sort of struggling to find the right way at the right moment. So this will continue to happen in certain ways. Diwali, Christmas, peak seasons. Yes, it happens. But look at the overall picture.
Right. One of the things is that you'd mentioned earlier was that currently you probably have a 390 aircraft on with you all, am I right?
400.
400, yeah. Right? And you're going up to, you said 950. That's the purchase you're going to make. Am I right?
We have today a little over 400 aircraft in operation. We have the world's largest outstanding fleet order of 950. Every week one less, because we take a plane every week, so we have 950 planes on order. And that's very important. And why is it important? Not to say, you know, we have 950, because these planes we have are helping us in discussions with the airports to have a long-term projection. So if you want to discuss in your ecosystem, right, and airports, you know, for airlines, if you go to Airbus or Boeing today, it takes me 5 years to get the planes. If you decide to build an extra terminal at an airport, it's probably take you more than 5 years. So the line of sight we're providing to the airports today, and basically say we have 400 in operation today, we'll have in the range of 600 to 700 by the end of the decade in operation. Right. That helps us a lot in all the discussions with Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, all the airports of the country really, to start building that infrastructure.
Now, one of the things you notice, I mean, the two questions arise out of that. One is, of course, if you go to any Indian airport, the major airports, you see a lot of aircraft grounded. For some reason, they're all lying in a row there. Some of them, of course, they're loss-making and had to shut down. IndiGo, I think, has got, what, an average of, how many of your flights currently are on ground, we're not able to move for various reasons? That's 40 one. 50, yeah. 40 to 50, is that the... And then the second aspect is what you talked about, the supply chain issue that you have to get the aircraft in. Yeah. Can you talk about these two issues? Because that sort of constrains the aviation industry.
Yeah, well, these two elements are very much linked. I think a lot of companies in the world at COVID decided to cut back significantly on their capabilities, either let off go people or production facilities or shops. What has happened is that all that reductions took probably not enough into consideration that post-COVID, the aviation world is surging again. So at IndiGo, we are confronted with actually a global supply chain challenge when it comes to some of the parts and materials we need. That has led indeed to a very significant number of planes which were grounded. So you're right, you see these planes standing in Delhi and Bangalore and a few other places, but mostly on these two locations. I think what's important is at IndiGo, we have taken a lot of sort of mitigating measures. We have extended leases, we took some planes back, we've had some damp leases, we had some other leases. So despite the fact that we had this issue, we still could maintain our capacity guidance and could grow from 100 million to 113 million customers in the last year only. We see it's getting better. We peaked that number in the middle of last year, and ever since it starts to taper down going forward. And IndiGo, I would say, is in a very, very good position because we get these planes coming in every week.
Right.
So these were ordered, I would say, a very visionary approach. These were ordered prior to COVID. Our recent order clearly has added to that, and with that, we will sort of make it through this world supply chain challenge. Another reason, by the way, why we should have infrastructure in India. that puts us in a much better position to do it like that when it comes to engines, when it comes to maintenance. But that will help us to navigate through these, what I would call as short-term challenges.
Well, I think we've got a minute left. And is Kapil call here? I was told he was, you were mentioning, where's Kapil? Is he here? Yeah, hi. I thought you could ask a question of Pieter. Kapil, can someone just give him a... He's a top aviation expert, and this is a good chance to sort of, Kapil, right?
Oh, I know Kapil, and I'm usually very concerned about his questions. Kapil, good afternoon.
Kapil, just get yourself a mic. Ranjit? Just a mic there. He's there, that person with the mic, yeah.
Okay, excellent. I came to hear you, so it was a good session. I think one of the things that Pieter missed out is that there has been an exceptional story from day one of what IndiGo has created. I haven't seen any airline in the world with an operational excellence and a delivery model of about 50, 60 planes a month regularly. So the question should be that how do you maintain that operational excellence, which is core to your business model. The rest of it falls in place. That's not a problem. You can do marketing, commercial. The core is, operational excellence. And we have studied IndiGo that I haven't seen an airline which has grown to 400 planes or 450 planes in 18 years. The question should be going forward, how do you maintain that operational excellence?
That's a good question. How do you maintain that excellence?
Yeah, I would say, Kapil, thanks for bringing that up. And for a lot of people in the industry, again, globally, looking at IndiGo when it comes to utilization, when it comes to turnaround, when it comes to the boarding processes, a lot of these operational processes leading to that operational efficiency have been deeply rooted in the company. And that goes from the sort of hardcore processes to the people itself and the people training part. That's exactly why going forward, we keep all these things in-house. We moved to a new training institute, our own training academy last year because the other ones were getting too small. We didn't outsource. We didn't say, we're going to work with others. It's an in-house thing. It's deeply rooted in the IndiGo culture to do that. So one is continue to have that culture of operational excellence deeply rooted in the company and the people. Because at the end of the day, and I'm a firm believer in that, it's the people who do that. You can only buy 2 types of aircraft. Boeing and Airbus and maybe Embraer. You can buy 3 types of seats. You can buy 4 types of reservation systems. You can buy some different catering, but that's not an operational excellence thing. So it's the people who make the difference. So that is one. I think the second part where I think your question is partly related to that, you've moved from a 20 aircraft airline to a 400 aircraft airline. And you're going to move to a 600 aircraft airline. And I think the digitization part is going to be the next big part of that. So all what we can do in terms of digitization, we have really stepped up our efforts in that respect. So we cultivate the very foundations and the basis, but we're going to use a lot of digitization to move forward to that. And I think probably there's no better place in the world to be located than India. The whole world comes to here to fix that stuff, right? So we should be able to do it ourselves. So these 2 elements, cultivating the basis and invest in digitization here in India itself, is going to be the 2 elements. Because to your point, operational excellence is key to the success, back to the secret sauce, and it will continue to be like that.
Well, we've run out of time. Ladies and gentlemen, Pieter Elbers, let's give him a very, very warm round of applause, CEO of IndiGo. Thank you so much.